All right. Where this one is. Okay. All right, everybody. Happy Monday morning, Monday afternoon. Gio and I are here to answer your questions. So today is going to be a Q&A. Some people have submitted questions and I've got those right here on my pad of paper, but I also want to just check in, see how everybody is. Be sure you tell me where you're from when you join us live, and if you watch the replay, hashtag replay, because it helps all the various algorithms know when you guys were on and watching things. Gio, don't drip on the computer. All right, so we've got, I hope you're all getting prepared for whatever holiday you celebrate. I know it's kind of a crazy time. We celebrate Christmas and we have our tree in the garage, not set up yet. We're still trying to sort out when that will all take place. We did put up some greenery, what I call greenery roping. That's around a door with some lights on, and that is so nice to look at on these super dark days, right? It's just, we're sitting on the couch and you look out the window and it's like pitch black out and it's 5 o'clock and it's just like, it's just crazy. And we're not even to the shortest day yet, which is December 21st. And then after that, it starts to get lighter sooner again. Yay! So happy about that. So I see some people on. Be sure you let me know where you are watching from, because I'd love to know. And go ahead and ask. You can ask questions live, because that is what I'm going to be doing today, is taking questions. And I have some that have been submitted. So dear everything dog, the last couple of days, my puppy has totally disregarded her potty training. Can you help? So this is always funny to me. And yes, of course. First and foremost, I think with any dog issue, and I don't want to get too deep, but we need to recognize that our dog is a dog. Like Gio sits here like a person in a chair and it's all really cute and all, but he's only doing it, guys, because I'm giving him these sardine treats, which are on top of the camera. So it keeps them focused up there. So your dog is not a moral being. They don't care where they go to the bathroom. They don't. They don't care if it's on your oriental rug. They don't care if it's on your kitchen floor. They don't care. All your puppy or your adult dog or whoever knows is, hey, I gotta go to the bathroom. This smells like a great place to go, because dogs, if you know, they go outside and they sniff around and they're looking for the right place to go. So they're not doing it to you. Don't personalize your dog's behavior, everybody, whatever the behavior is. And a lot of times, she didn't say this in her letter or email to us, but a lot of times what people say to us is, she did it right in front of me. Like she came right up to me and then squatted and peed. And I'm like, okay, your dog had to go to the bathroom, but she did it right in front of me. As if we're totally anthropomorphize that behavior, because a person is interpreting like that the dog came up and peed in front of her like she was disrespecting her or giving her the finger or something like that, right? That's not true. The dog just had to go to the bathroom. And the fact of the matter is that most of you owners with dogs that aren't house trained miss their signals to go out. So the 3 primary signals that your puppy or your adult dog, if you're trying to house train an adult dog, are going to do is they're going to yawn. That is a stress signal. It has nothing to do with being tired. And you'll see that Gio sometimes even sitting here yawns because he's still a little stressed out that he can't quite get the treats, right? Or am I moving my hands too much? And that'll get you. So yawning, all of a sudden scratching at their collar or their neck is a sure sign of stress. And you may see these one, and then you may see another one. And sometimes doing a genital check, licking themselves. It can be, sometimes there's an issue, but if you see these things together, not boom, 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 you'll see one, then the dog may do something else, and you'll see another one, then the dog may do something else, and you'll see another one. It's subtle. It's real subtle. Your dog is not going to come up and go, hey, I got to go to the bathroom. Can you let me out? They're not going to come up and scratch at the door and jump at the door. And believe me, when they do, people call me and then say, hey, my dog is jumping at my door. And I'm like, okay, like they don't want that to be the signal to go out because it's going to scratch up their door. So first and foremost, your dog is not doing anything to you. The fact of the matter is your dog or puppy has to go to the bathroom, and it's up to you to watch for their stress signals that then signal they need to go out. And you should have your dog on a leash in the house, just a regular 6-foot leash. You should be sitting on it, tie it to a piece of furniture, tie it to your refrigerator, whatever you want to do, so that your puppy is not willy-nilly. They cannot have free reign of the house until they are completely house trained. They just can't. They're hardwired to not want to eliminate where they have to eat and sleep. And so tethering to you or something in the house replicates crating without having to have them in the crate. And if you can't watch them, by all means, put them in the crate. Okay? All right. So quickie answers to house train. Now the next one is, dear everything dog, my dog is being very stubborn and won't come into the house when I call her. I know she knows that I'm calling her, and I know she knows the command. Okay, there's a lot of I know she knows. Calling your dog into the house can be, and usually is, punishing from the dog's perspective. Okay, so if we had a fenced-in yard, which we don't, and let's say that Jubilee was outside because she's a terrier, and she's sniffing where the dog next door had peed on the fence. Maybe she's sniffing where turkeys had gone through or whatever. There's all sorts of creatures out there, right? And then we call her in, and she just looks at us like, and she probably wouldn't even look at us. She probably wouldn't give us the time of day if she was in the middle of a good outdoor smell, because that's more motivating to her. And you guys remember that when you call your dog into the house, from the dog's perspective, it's almost always punishing, unless you're conscious about it and you do something so that it's not. Because you're asking your dog to leave the outdoor world, all of those great things that are outdoor, the smells, the sounds, if they like to be outside in the snow, if they prefer the cold over the heat. And then usually what happens is they come in, good dog, and you pat them on the head, isn't it a good dog? And you close the door, and then you go back to read or watch your TV show, whatever it is you're doing, I don't know. And the dog's like, what just happened? I left my doggy playground and I came to you and nothing happened. A big 0 happened. That's punishing from your dog's perspective. So all you need to do is when you call them in, be sure that you reinforce them. Reinforce them with 10 pieces of chicken, 10 pieces of sardine treat. Play with them, throw a ball, throw a tug toy, do something that your dog will be like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. I'm so glad that I came inside when you called because this is so much fun, okay? And then it won't be punishing any longer for your dog when they come inside when you call. Now, sometimes when I have this conversation with people, they will say, I'm not punishing my dog. I'm not doing anything to him when he comes. I'm like, yes, I understand that. You are not punishing your dog. I understand that. But what I'm saying is, from your dog's perspective, they do not perceive the world and learn in exactly the same way we do. So you have to say, from your dog's perspective, I've just called him in from outside, from the smells, the things that are happening outside, the dogs next door, whatever it is. And he comes in and closes the door and nothing happens for him. So from the dog's perspective, even if it's not punishing, it's just a fat 0. It wasn't worth his while to leave all the fun stuff outside. Think about it when, I don't know what it would be for an adult, but like when my kids were little, we went to the playground, right? The various schools had playgrounds and they were on the slides and the swings, or we were playing tag or playing whatever it was, or they were playing with their friends. When it came time to go, right, it was a big deal. You couldn't just say, okay, let's go, chop, chop, and get them all in the car. You had to give them some headlines and let them know what was happening next, right? So not quite the same thing, but because you're not going to give your dog headlines that they have to come in the house. But if you just took your kid out of the playground and stuck them in the car, that would be a real drag, right? That wouldn't be fun. And so for your dog, you just need to make it worth their while. Give them a couple of treats when they come in, throw a toy, play tug, whatever it is for your dog. And pretty soon your dog is going to be charging in the house every time you call because you've made it so much worth their while. Okay, now the last question is a little harder, a little longer, and I'll attempt at an answer. So, dear everything dog, how do I stop my dog Rosie from barking and lunging at other dogs and people when we're on a leash, when she's on leash? I want her to have better manners. And I'd also say to this person with Rosie that it's probably incredibly embarrassing to be walking your dog who's, what did she say, barking and lunging at other dogs. And you could have that happening because your dog is worried and nervous, and you can have that happening because your dog is super exuberant and socially like crazy wanting to go and see the other dog. So the first thing you need to understand is you can't just ask your dog to sit or lay down or look at you in the situation because they are having such a strong emotional response that you have to address the feeling that they have about the other dog or about the person. And if it's a fear-based feeling, if they're fearful of the other dog or the person, they're not going to be able to sit or lay down or pay attention to you because they're too worried about what they're looking at, right? The other thing. So remember, everybody, I'm more than happy to answer your questions. So just type them in the comments. I'm flipping back and forth through all the various things and happy to do that. Oops, I didn't what I want to do. Okay. So practice makes perfect. So one thing I'm going to tell you is if your dog is really having a hard time when you're walking him, I'd like you to stop walking him or her. This is a Rosie. Stop walking Rosie for a period of time. Let her internal self calm down. Let all that cortisol and adrenaline and everything settle out and kind of go away. Because if it's a fear-based issue, then every time she goes outside, she's like screaming, get away, get away. Oh my God, go, I'm petrified. I don't want you here. Go. And you're like, Rosie. You're yelling at her or you're popping the leash or whatever it is you're doing. And the poor dog is like, oh my God, get the thing away. And that creates adrenaline and stress in the dog. And then you go home and she's like, oh my God. Whew. But it doesn't just go away. And then you take her out the next day and she's like, go, stop. I don't want you near me. Oh my God, do you see the scary thing? Blah, blah, blah. And then you get home and she's like, oh my God. And this just goes on and on and on day after day, right? So your dog is just, they need a time out. They need to not experience the adrenaline and the cortisol and everything else that happens every time they see another dog or a person. So stop walking them. Do some training inside, do some attention work, do some sits and downs, do some retrieving outside, whatever it is that you want to do, doesn't matter, but just let their system calm down. Then when you go back outside, you are going to have your bait bag full of yummy treats. These are homemade sardine treats. We have a YouTube video on the recipe with these. So, and you're going to play with your distance from the thing. So you're going to need to get further away from the dog and people so that your dog can actually learn and function. And you're going to present her with a handful of food the whole time she's looking at that dog. When the dog is gone, you stop feeding and keep going on your walk. La, 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 joy. She sees another dog, handful of food, feed continually the whole time she's looking at that other dog, and then you stop. But you have got to be far enough away that your dog is not going to have a big reaction. If she's having a big reaction, oh God, it's going to fall off. If she's having a big reaction, it's very low probability that she's actually learning anything if the dog is screaming and barking, and right, because she's communicating, I need more space, I want the thing to go away. This is the same tactic, same training methodology that I use with Geo, who is not reactive. He's an intact male, and he's super interested in all other dogs that he sees on the road, on the sidewalk, wherever it is. Very early on, I was like, ooh, I don't want to deal with this for the rest of his life. So he sees a dog, he looks at me, and then I reinforce him for looking at me. But for you guys just starting off, stop walking for 2 weeks. Let your dogs calm down. During those 2 weeks, I would strengthen all of the other behaviors, the sit, the down, the attention. Not the down so much. I'd strengthen the sit and the attention if you really wanted to. And then when you start walking, you're going to have a bait bag full of yummy treats. Just decrease your dog's breakfast or dinner. If you fed them a baggie of chicken, then they don't need their normal meal rations, right? They don't need a full cup. On days that I do a lot of work with Geo, he does not get a cup of food in the morning or at night. I take it down to half a cup, probably just at night, if I've done a lot of nose work with him. Okay, so you guys will manipulate your dog's meals in order to prevent them, one, from gaining weight, and to ensure that they're hungry enough that they will be able to eat when they're out in this stimulus. So a lot of you have also written in that you've tried treat training, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So there's three things. Your dog is too full, won't eat. You're too close to the thing that's upsetting your dog, and your treats aren't valuable enough. So I'm not talking crunchy milk bones. I'm not talking dog manufactured treats. I'm talking people food. Chicken, cheese, hot dogs, homemade liver treats, homemade sardine treats. I haven't met a dog yet that I couldn't get to eat when I had the right food, when I was far enough away from the thing, and the exposure was super short, okay? So once you start doing something, you're not gonna just go out for your normal walk. If you are walking and you see a dog, that's one exposure, get as far away as possible, feed the heck out of the dog, and then I would start to go home and hope that you don't see another one. It's a lot, there's no easy answer. I just want you to understand that from your dog's perspective, most of your dogs are afraid or fearful of the dogs or of the people that are walking towards them. Some of your dogs have SEC, which is sudden environmental contrast, which I'm not going to talk about today. It's too long and involved. But another time we can do that. And a lot of herding breeds have that issue. All right, you guys, keeping it short and sweet.
Hang on, we have one more.
Oh, what's the question?
This is from Virginia McGregor, who missed you on the radio show.
Okay.
So she wrote her question under your radio show post.
Oh.
Which is why we didn't see it today.
Okay.
So sorry I missed your radio show. I would have asked what causes and how do you stop dogs from teeth pinching? It's so painful.
Huh.
Or maybe better yet, what is a way to calm or settle a dog as fast as possible? So I think when she says teeth pinching, she means like
that nibbling
thing, and then they get you with their little front teeth.
Okay. Virginia McGregor?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so one last question about teeth pinching and how to settle a dog down. Great question, Virginia. And there's many ways up the mountain. So I'm just going to take a stab at what's happening here. If you're coming home and your dog is super excited to see you and gets mouthy or teeth pinching, if you have a crate for your dog, I'd ask you to have your dog in the crate when you get home, completely ignore the dog until he or she is calm, and then you can let her out, and you're going to be very calm in your greeting of her so that you don't stir her all up again, okay? If you don't have a crate at your disposal, for some reason she doesn't like the crate, then I would have if somebody is home before you get home, then that person should put the dog on a leash, and they can just step on the leash, they can sit on the leash, but they're just going to control the dog so she can't get herself all worked up and start jumping and grabbing and teeth pinching you. So crate, leash, any time that teeth are on your skin, if it's a habitual habit, then I would time the dog out. And that means you could just put the dog in the bathroom, close the door. You can put the dog in any room you've got and just close the door so that the dog loses access to you and everything that they want, right? Which is you. Give her just a little timeout. It can be very effective. And I will tell you that I don't know a dog that doesn't get a little mouthy when they get riled up. Like it takes a lot to get Geo riled up. But yesterday when we were getting ready to do some nose work, he saw the box that comes out. He saw my treat bag. There was a lot of cues that told him, oh my God, we're going to go and do this thing that I love doing. And he was jumping around and I started wrestling with him and getting him all hyped up. And yeah, he started to grab me with his mouth. And I'm like, oh my God, you're being so mouthy. I just made fun of it. And then, but he has a great off switch. So when I stopped playing with him, he just stopped, right? So if your dog doesn't have an off switch and they get riled and excited and super happy, and then they kind of stay that way, you're going to need to help them calm down. And I would put them on a leash. I'd put them in another room. I'd put them in a crate, something so they're separate until they are calm. And only when they are calm are you going to bring them back out. Okay, Georgette says, Buck is more reactive to black dogs and I need more distance. I've been told it was because they cannot see facial expressions on black dogs. Your thoughts? No, I don't think that's the case, Georgette. I think it could be a couple of things. Since we don't really know what happened to Buck in those 2 weeks that he was with you and then he went back and then he came back to you and he seemed to be different. It could be that his negative experience was with a black dog, so that he's more concerned about black dogs. I would also say that like black labs and Rottweilers and any dog with a black fur has more contrast, so they are more easily seen, if that makes sense. So when we're doing dog reactive work and we have a client whose dog is reactive, we use Geo. And I'm telling you that some of the distance that we're actually standing away from each other, it's very hard to see him. So it makes it less of a stimulus. It's almost like he's smaller or less, just less of a threat. And the only example I can give you is the spider one. So the black spiders that are big, even though they're small, there's a real contrast between them and the wall or them and the toilet seat, which did happen once. And I freaked out because it's just this contrast that makes them stand out so much more. And yet, like the daddy long legs or spiders that are a lighter color, I still don't like them, but I don't have nearly the reaction. And I think it's just because there's a bigger contrast there. Okay, let me just check all the places. I don't see any other questions. Thanks for asking that question, Georgette. Nothing on the tube. Nothing on the business page. I see you guys. I got like 3 people on. Tell me where you're from. Don't be shy. It's probably all family members. They don't want to admit that they're watching. All right, you guys. I'm out. 20 minutes. That's all I want to try to do. You always can submit questions. I will always try to put them into these lives. But I also want to let you know that coming in January, the end of January, we are going to start a 4-part webinar series, which I'm super excited about. So stay tuned for that. I'll just be reminding you at every live until we get some more solid information. Charlie Ann McKay, tips for training 4 dogs at once. It's impossible. You cannot do it. You need to train 1 dog at a time, put the other 3 dogs someplace else, and just rotate. So we're getting a board and train dog in the house next week, the 20th, I think. A puppy, 15, 16 weeks old, and I will be training Geo at the same time I'm training the puppy. The puppy will be all by herself, learning, not being distracted by the other dogs. I won't be distracted by the other dogs, and then they can all come back. So you got to train 1 dog at a time, Charlie. Great question. All right, you guys, take care, and I will see you later. And hey, Dan, bye. Oh, let's see. How do you diffuse the dog's energy level when it comes to contact with my chickens? Out of the 4 dogs, only the one wants dinner. Yes. So I would give that dog, the dog needs some space from the chickens, right? Because it's obviously more terrier-ish, more interested. Geo could care less about chickens, but we wouldn't be able to have that in the house with Jubilee. She'd be trying to eat them every second of every day. So you could put a barrier up, use an X pen, put a barrier up around the chickens so that the dog just doesn't have, the further away they are from the thing that's causing their arousal, the easier it will be for them to control themselves. So let us know how that works, and I'll see you guys next week.